Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from night. Boy, I tell you, there's always got to be a little rain on the parade, doesn't there? True Social got. I said that within 30 seconds, so I guess that means I'll be in trouble. But I didn't put an "and" in between the two words. Okay, so I slipped up to begin with, and oh well. Merger's been approved. It looks like Mr. T is going to be getting anywhere between 3.5 and 4 billion beans. But the rain on the parade is them pressuring him and want to take, seize, confiscate, whatever they want to call his properties. All this stuff going on in the East. We've got terrible event in Moscow we can talk about, and that's why I put a picture of Putin up there, bear poked. Okay, and we got I stumbled across a video about a attorney of all places out of New York Southern District is what I was hearing when I played the video. He got disbarred. He didn't get suspended. He didn't get fined. He didn't get warned. His ability to practice law is gone. And maybe in a period of years he can come back. I don't know, but we'll get into that. But it's very serious what's going on in the East. Okay, very serious. And while people are coming to the chats, we'll discuss that once we get a crowd in. So we got, let's see, Diane's here, Jersey Joe, Kim, Pappy Two Bears, David, Jersey Joe, Pappy Two Bears. Let's see, Lone Wolf, how you doing? Jax, Sherry, Damon, hi, Nikki, Ronald. I know you all are hitting a thumbs up when you get in, and that helps the video get around. Hi, Gloria. Hi, William. Sherry, let's see. If I don't get enough thumbs up, I won't say hi to nobody. Ha, ha, ha. I'm just kidding. I'll say hi to everybody I can. But anyway, Tracy, Kicking Bird, Wanda, Gary says, oh, Gary's still working. Oh, all work and no play. But we got a time difference, that's for sure. We got a time difference. It's late in the evening in certain places and very early in the morning in others. But anyway, a lot of people are finding it odd and knew they smelled a rat when B.O., everybody knows who B.O. is, or what that is. America's got B.O., a bad case of, B.H.O., went over to 10 Downing Street. You know, that's the seat of power for Britain, you know, UK, whatever. And 48 hours later, what do we got? We got a terrible incident happening in Moscow. Oh, 5:45. Okay, what's that difference? Oh, in the evening. Hello, Mr. Kibler. How you doing? Ronald, how you doing? M. Oh, B-Dog was watching Moscow too. Yeah, it's 60. Nikki, is last I heard. It was over 60 and 100 wounded. They called in. They called in the Russian special forces for the Russian Guard. And man, then there were some of them holed up it was a concert hall. And the name of it was Crocus, is what, C-R-O-C-U-S. And they're in there or were in there barricaded. And I got a picture. I might put on a thumbnail in the future of a surveillance camera. It's got a picture of two of them in a vehicle. I was going to post that, but maybe I'll put it on a picture show. I captured it. So, and there's a lot of footage of the interior, which I don't watch. You know, it's terrible what they did. And it seems like there were 4 of them in the building, and they're looking for a white 2 vehicles. I'll have to go out of my studio to see what the second one is, but the first one was called a white a Renault, and called a Logan. I haven't heard. I remember when we had some Renaults in America when they bought Chrysler. I had a friend of mine I bought one. I said, "What did you buy that for?" I mean, I guess it was. I guess you could say cute. I don't know. But they're French, aren't they? But anyway, it's in a scrap heap. It was, that's where he got it from anyway. But that's what they're looking for. And they had another vehicle. There were 3 vehicles that I know of. 2 they're looking for, at least the last report I saw, around 6 p.m. Washington time. And the other one is at the scene, and they had looking for a BOMB inside of it. And they had the detonated one in the building. And there was footage of these big helicopters dumping water on the municipal building. And it was, remember about 3 weeks ago or so, I did a picture show and I put up the warnings that were seemingly out of the blue from the U.S., I believe, State Department, and also from British intelligence. Were putting out warnings to the embassies for everybody to stay away from large areas and congregations of people and malls and places like that. Remember that, folks? That was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I posted the actual notices that were put out. And this business of Bayrock, okay, Hussein, okay, OBA, Ma, going over there, that is one of the reasons. I mean, even the appearance of impropriety, things like that. When you go, don't tell anybody you're going. You have what the press goes. It was a secret meeting. Well, nobody in the press got to go in, and nobody put out a statement what it was about. I guess you could call it secret. That's why we have the Logan Act, you know, that they tried to prosecute General Flynn over. So there aren't suspicious things that happen. And, well, he went over there 48 hours ago, had a meeting, and big mystery, right? And then all this stuff goes on. So, yeah. People are going to have their eyebrows up, and they are up everywhere. Hi, Angela, single songwriter. How you doing? Okay. Use ones, Jax. Instead of eyes, but that's a name that is a TERR organization, and we don't need to be putting it in the word. If your comments disappears because you're using sensitive words and you're not covering them up. I mean, I don't talk this way for nothing. Okay, I don't take the time to stretch my brain out to figure out how to say a word just for somebody to put in the chats plump and plain for me to get in trouble. So I don't know. I don't know. If there's new people coming in, I've got new subscribers, as you might be able to tell by my irritated state, that if you have words that would cause concern, even though we're talking about it in a current events purpose for current events, it still causes problems. So use numbers for vowels, 1s for I's, 3s for E's. That's to my new subscribers. My old ones, I don't know. I'll just go put my head in a bucket of water and blow bubbles. So anyway, where was I at? The second car, I don't know. I'm not over there, so what am I going to do, right? I can't go run around and look for a second car. But I do have the security photos of 2 of the characters, either arriving or just before they got out of the vehicle. So if they're inside, they're finished, but if they're out there running around those vehicles, I'd be willing to say that they're as good as either captured or out of here. So there's been some strong warnings while this stuff was going on. Let me tell you, they rained down a fury on all over Ukraine, and Kharkov was totally without power. That's a pretty big city. So the internet was down in major cities, totally down. The first report said it was Crocus City Hall music venue. A lot of people said it was a mall. New York Post said at least 40 DEAD, over 100 injured, and now we know that's up to 60. Probably more than that. Let's see. That's right, Angela. You got to be that careful nowadays. Got to be that careful. They're changing the GUN emoji to a squirt, to a one that looks like a squirt GUN. That's how they're taking it. Hi, Ali. How you doing? So, well, hi, Doc. How you doing? So anyway, I'll get back to that in a minute. Did you hear? MSNBC put up a video, and it said in its thumbnail, it had a picture of Trump's face, and in its thumbnail it said somebody's lying. Here it is. Trump contradicts his lawyers, claims to have 500 million. So on the one hand, you got these reporters on MSNBC speculating on how much they'll get out of Mar-a-Lago. Letitia's going to get. And deadpan, dead serious, going, well, if it's a fire sale, they won't have time to advertise it, and somebody could snap it up for a cheap price. So I'm thinking around $240, $250 million, blah, 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 blah. And the anchor's going, oh, but he owes way more than that. He owes almost 500 million. It goes right over the top of their dopey heads that Letitia and Judge Engoron, the same piece of property they only said was worth 18 and Trump was a fraud. Here they are live on TV talking about it selling dirt cheap at a fire sale for 250 million. This is the type of morons we're dealing with. And the people that watch it and love the idea of an American hero, okay? Before this politics stuff, he's an icon. He's someone people look up to. They love to see the destruction of a successful person, okay? And the same with what happened in Moscow. They've taken down tons of Telegram channels coming out of Ukrizzle that have celebratory posts about what happened to those innocent people. How depraved do people have to be? Now, this business of being happy about Trump being harmed, his family, his business, the reputation of American businesses in New York being destroyed gives them joy. It's not as quite a level of depravity as people celebrating what happened in Moscow. But it's depraved nevertheless. And if you agree with me, give me a thumbs up. And if you're mad at me because I got mad, then give me a thumbs down. I mean, do what you got to do, right? So, Morning Joe, you got all these danger signals that the old news, even though it came out with Candace Owen, came out with Joe Rogan, it came out with AJ, okay? A lot of you who don't know who that is, first name's Alex, okay? And his last name's Jones. And Mark Dice, who posts on YouTube, all these big names. Jesse Waters just did a story on Fox News that blew everybody's socks off, couldn't believe he said it. What was he talking about? What am I talking about? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Operation Mock, okay? Ing, okay? Bird, right? Just what, last night? Or was it the night before? About the church commission in 1950, in the late 50s, that came out and said that certain intelligence services have been running our news agencies, planting stories. Oh, Lone Wolf, thank you. What a time to be alive. Lone Wolf says, went to buy me a coffee. I appreciate it, Lone Wolf. It is quite a time to be alive. That's for sure. Well, every day's a bonus, right, folks? Every day's a bonus. So with that type of information coming out, and even in the 50s when they did a report on it, when a senator held hearings talking about our own government pumping garbage in our heads using news organizations, nobody picked it up and ran with it like they should have. And even now today, all these stories going on, and Joe Scarborough's holding a picture, holding a New York Post up about the agents being rushed in El Paso, right? The razor wire, the fences getting knocked down, and is hollering about blaming Trump, even though he's been out of office for 3 years. That's the kind of garbage they put out. And it's a small wonder we've got to interact with people who are in an altered state. You know, it's uncomfortable, but you know, we have to keep plowing forward. Elon Musk, oh boy, he put out a tweet that one of the first tweets come out, he called it telepathy because of the Neuralink. And I got a copy of it. The guy put on X that Elon had banned him, or not Elon, but X. Nolan Arbaugh, the first post ever made just by thinking, using the Neuralink telepathy device, Elon Musk put out with an exclamation point. Well, the first tweet is from Nolan Arbaugh. He says, Twitter banned me because they thought I was a bot. @X and @Elon Musk reinstated me because I am. So a little bit of humor there. He's saying that he is a bot of sorts. Let's see. Let me roll through the chats. Oh, 15 bathrooms in Mar-a-Lago. Wow. Yeah, I've seen Morning Joe's. I try to keep that out of my mind. Who's that in reference to? So, yeah, he does have a ton of cash. So, I'll jump back to that. The cash. What they're coming around to find out is that the notion is that they got some kind of inside information about before Trump submitted his financials. You know, what did I say about a communist? The first thing about them, personality trait, they're nosy. They don't have mind their own damn business. They worry about how everybody else is living and don't worry about their own lives. Okay, so he got his financials and they saw that he had this kludge of cash set aside for his own campaign, right? Because they have the same old mechanisms for the Democratic Party for bringing in money, and they are outpacing. And so Trump's got his own private kludge of cash. But the story is that people knew about that when they weren't supposed to, and that's how they calculated the amount of money he would have to pay. Basically, to completely cripple his ability to finance his campaign. And that leads me back to FISA, right? It works both ways. And everybody knows where that comes from. So when people were upset because of the renewal of the Patriot Act, back when Trump was in office, we needed it because it has FI and then SA, okay? The ability to get warrants to protect the country with nobody using it, nobody knowing about it, I mean. And Judge Engoron and Letitia James, all of them, their actions, if they pose a danger to national security, and elections are part of national security responsibilities, NSA, their communications have already been intercepted and already been gone through, okay? Because FISA works both ways. So now you know why there wasn't resistance to renewing the Patriot Act, because it's been there for how long, been abused how much, and now it's our turn to use it, and people want to just get rid of it. That's what I'm saying. You know, you can't have a knee-jerk response. So, well, I got nobody wanting to chat now because I got mad. Well, chat away, for crying out loud. You know, I'm just saying, if, you know, because I had some hard comments that had to go bye-bye. People putting in stuff that just doesn't work out with trust and then safety, right? And that's what we got to keep in mind, even though we're trying to approach it from a current event standpoint. But as was pointed out earlier, a lot of, thank you, Single Songer, a lot of people are trying to hide behind the IS bunch. Yeah, Trump said he wiped him out. He wiped him out in a particular area, okay? And they're still around. They got cells everywhere. You think they were all located in that one patch of sand that Trump wiped them out of? He wiped out their control in a certain area, trying to horn in over there in Syria, Turkey, Iran, and all those places near Iraq. They're, as an organized force in that territory, they're wiped out. But that doesn't mean they have cells. Who helped start that bunch? Two people, McStain and Obama. So Russia's not buying it, okay? They're, wow, they put out a strong statement. I'll have to read this strong statement. And I got to watch what I say, because they don't leave any doubt what their intentions are going to be in response. And I would be like the Ukrizel government. I would be very concerned. Just before this stuff happened, though, the Financial Times put out a warning. It was hours before the attack. They put out a warning. Financial Times reports, citing sources familiar with the matter, that the United States has pressed Ukraine to stop attacks on Russian energy infrastructure, warning they are provoking a backlash and driving up global oil prices. Oh, okay. And they were going through with a heavy bombing campaign all over Ukraine, taking out hydroelectric dams, not the dams themselves, but the generating facilities, leaving the dams up. But another report came through. There are serious interruptions in train traffic in the Kharkov region. Now we know they're totally without internet and electric, but all trains in the region will be using diesel locomotives, even quote, high-speed electric trains due to problems with the power supply. But those high-speed electric trains ain't going nowhere because the internet's down, and they're completely without electric right now in the Kharkov region, which is a big city, partially in response to what happened with the civilians in Moscow, if you know what I'm saying. That's right, B-Dog. It said the special military operation is over. So they got a internet service over there called NetBlocks, and there's massive internet outages, and they named about half a dozen big towns and cities that have no internet, no power. What have we been talking about? You know, how to get along without it. And hopefully they're pretty hardy people. We'll see. And this is the press secretary for the president of the Russian Federation put out a statement, just what B-Dog was saying. Let's see. It said it started out as a special operations, but Western involvement has turned it out into a war. Russia is in a state of war. Part of the territory of Russia de facto occupied. It is necessary to liberate new regions and protect the people there. So that's a way of saying the gloves are off and we're moving in to other territories. You thought it was bad what was going on with the Donetsk region, Mariupol, and Crimea. Okay, well, we're not stopping there since all this other stuff is going on. Well, Greta's probably happy about the power situation. DeCat. They want us back in the Stone Age. Don't want us making any carbon. So they're calling on residents to urgently stock up on water due to a disruption in power supply. A lot of cities' mayors are telling people it's a mess over there. I mean, I know it seems far away, but reports coming in during that attack, I'm sure I'm hoping it's quelled by now. A task correspondent said a third of the city hall buildings on fire. The roof of the building's almost completely engulfed, partial collapse. A plume of black smoke rises. This was after they set off a BOMB. They came in with Kalashnikovs, and they brought one with them. Okay, almost all emergency services have arrived at the scene, including the Russian special forces. So yeah, I got a couple of still shots of the actual event, but statements were coming out pretty fast and furious. The White House claims it has no information about the preparation of the TERROR attack in Moscow. So the White House said it saw no signs that Ukryzl or Ukryzls were involved in the attack. Of course, they're going to believe that, all right. And they caught one guy near the Crocus building who was sporting some manner of a badge. And I don't know, he's either a kooky old person or somebody that was involved trying to get away. So we'll see. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of open reporting on this situation. Now, Ukryzl is automatically backing away from any responsibility from it. And they're talking about how they were warned by U.S. officials and by Great Britain officials, and the Russians put out a statement about that. You know, that means they had some manner of foreknowledge that they should have shared. And why would they be putting that stuff out to their embassies and not talking to government authorities in Russia? So they ended up evacuating a lot of big malls and stores, theaters, and all that stuff in St. Petersburg and surrounding areas, mobilizing everybody to be prepared and stay the heck away from stuff like that. Now, this is the statement that's very strong. That's right, single songwriter. Clandestine said the same thing. You got him going to 10 Downing Street. That's Obama, and we've already blown up the pipeline. You know, so no, nobody's surprised. Deputy Chairman of the Russian Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, and I put up pictures of him before. He's a pretty tough old looking character, and he's talked in front of the United Nations many times. So to the families of those, they express their sincere condolences to all the loved ones. But it says TERR, okay, I'm going to say perpetrators, okay, understand only retaliatory perpetrating, right? No trials or investigations will help if force is not countered by force. And DEATH by total, well, I'll say it, executions of perpetrators and repressions against their families. That's a strong statement. But under certain circumstances, repressing family members, not going out and, but you don't know how the depth of their involvement, and you have to, detain them until you find out more. Why is my screen frozen? Okay, there goes. So anyway, and they're getting this from world experience calls for this type of behavior. In other words, they're going to fight fire with fire. They're going to spawn the same way that the perpetrators acted, plus they're going to go after detaining and repressing the families. And then in bold print it says, if it is established that these are terrorists of the Kiev regime, and it is impossible to deal with them and their ideological inspirers differently. I wonder who they consider to be their ideological inspirers. All of them must be found and mercilessly destroyed as TERR perpetrators, right? Including officials of the state that committed such atrocity. Including officials of the state. And they have said in no uncertain terms in the past that they would go after decision-making centers. And this is the strongest statement, taking away any and all doubt. And the last thing he said was very similar to what Trump said about it. Well, actually wasn't as strong. DEATH, okay, for DEATH, all right? Trump said a gallon for a drop, all right? But you get the point. Because it's the only thing some of these people understand. And while this was going on, remember when about maybe a month ago, I was talking about that they were squads going around in Belgorod. Belgorod is Russian territory, and they were running around planting BOMBs and blowing up commercial places and things like that. Well, simultaneously with this situation, somebody sent 17, they call them arrivals, which could have been drones, which could have been some type of missile, but they were shot down according to Russian authorities, and there were no injuries or loss of life reported. But at the same time, simultaneously, the governor of Belgorod region reported that 17 air targets were shot down on approach to Belgorod. There were no casualties. So they were hoping for chaos. It's coordinated and planned out. And then at the same time, they're going to say, no, we didn't know anything about it. Yeah, it is funny how much that number comes up. But here's a Russian official saying that the U.S. and British intelligence services were aware of the TERRO attacks being prepared. Quote, on March 7th, the American embassy called on its citizens not to visit a shopping center or the shopping center. Yeah, that's what I was talking about when I put up those warnings. The British and someone else did the same. This means that their intelligence services intercepted certain negotiations, received information, and knew that something would happen. And he said that on Russian television. And here's a picture of that little Renault they're looking for, the little white Renault. Hi, Judy. How you doing? Georgia, how you doing? What happened? Oh. Well, hopefully he'll come back, or she'll come back. Everybody, oh man, that's like a family member out there at dark running around. Oh man, well, hopefully we'll get some good news about that. So anyway, this it looks more like a gray Renault. Oh, this is the other one. There's a white Renault and a gray Renault. And they got the picture, the license plates, and everything. So they transferred the pictures to all departments all around Moscow and nearby regions. So we'll see how that turns out. I wouldn't want to be them. Let me see. Oh, where was that in your territory, Nikki? Where somebody had squatters go in their house? They passed a law in Florida that makes it easier to get around, to get that stuff taken care of quick with these people squatting in someone's home. Is that in Michigan where you're at? It's awful. What are they going to do? They got these millions of these people coming over here with no regard for the law, nowhere to live. But anyway, Ukrainian telegram channels, one after another, are deleting their jubilant and misanthropic publications dedicated to the tragedy in Crocus City Hall. Probably an order came down from above to moderate joy and even express sympathy. Undoubtedly, the purpose of this step is an attempt to hide Kiev's involvement in the attacks. And they feel that it's pretty much the same deal with Washington coming out really fast and saying Ukraine had nothing to do with it. And I read, oh, that was in Arizona. Well, they get a tactic like that, and it spreads like wildfire. Well, yeah, this is a journalist's opinion of what the United States. They've issued several excuses that it wasn't Ukrizzle and the United States didn't know anything. At the same time, against a backdrop of mockery of the NAZ, I heard the cocaine regime has already released a whole batch of excuses that it wasn't them. Even though Russia has not yet officially declared or accused anybody. They're all running up saying, it wasn't us, it wasn't us. They understand perfectly well that after such a terrorist attack, not to mention the recent elections, Russian society will support the most stringent measures from authorities. The only question is how exactly the Kremlin will decide to respond, but there is no doubt there will be an answer. So I don't know if you all follow Clandestine, but he's on X and Truth and Then Social. But he's saying pretty much what we're saying. 4 days ago, Obama was in the UK for a private meeting. Today, IS took credit for the terror attack in Moscow. Obama's C.I.A created. He says I say it's McCain and OB. But of course, they have to rely on one of the three letter agencies to help them. But they created that group. Obama is a shadow POTUS. And they already committed an act in the European theater by sabotaging Nord Stream. Get the picture? Yeah, I get the picture. Oh, there's that Joe Scarborough. Mike, I got something else from Elon Musk put out that's really sensitive, but we know about it. Oh, it's not a FF, Jax. Yeah, hit the like button. Where's everybody going? Oh, okay. Terrace is a nice place to hang out, man. Okay, thank you, Single. Well, okay, so yeah, who knows what's going to happen there overnight? And I guess we'll find out in the AM because their day starts when ours ends. So Trump he's not backing off a little bit about this business of them wanting to take his property. Now, who knows what the strategy is going to be? All right, the 25th is the date. They say Letitia James has filed in the local courthouses where his golf course is, upstate New York, that they're going to take possession of it. And that's the word on the street. I haven't seen any paperwork. 7 Springs, okay? They gave the courthouse notices. But I tell you, Frank Luntz popped his head out of the ground. You remember, Trump called him out by name for doing push polls, and he said they're highly illegal, you know? So now you got Frank Luntz coming out. I believe he was on CNN. And he said, well, if they seize the property, they're going to pretty much give Trump all he needs to win the election if they do that to him. He said, everything I've seen that shows every time they do something to Trump like that, his polls go up. He's way ahead. He's going to get even more ahead. And the American people don't like seeing people getting kicked around unfairly. So the good news is there's a lot less of people who have that schadenfreude I talked about in the past. Schadenfreude, joy from seeing others suffer. And that's what you see with all the people on Telegram celebrating what happened in Ukraine. All the people celebrating the idea that Trump is going to lose significant portions of a property that he worked for all his life, that they're in a very distinct minority and they should be ashamed of themselves. So, but Trump might just let them take the property, okay? He's got the cash. He's got the cash and he's got it set aside for his own presidential campaign. I know most everybody here is going to help where they can. And someone went and got 3 coffees about 14 minutes ago. Appreciate it. Boom, boom, boom in the chats. For a mystery person, if you want your name to be known, go ahead and tell me who you are. If not, I let you know I appreciate it. But now he's basically daring them. Okay? It's a big game of chicken. And remember, and Goron could always say, well, I will want to reconsider my decision. Now, stick with me on this, folks. Who else reconsidered a little bit? Judge McKay, all right? He said, okay, I'll approve sending my decision about Fonnie and Nathan up for review, okay? No argument from me. So the investigation is still going on with Fonnie, right? Now, the reason I bring this up, because, and Goron could say, you know, you guys are jumping on my back. I wanted to reconsider. I was going to agree with the appeal. I was in the middle of writing a letter to the appeal court to tell them my position that they should give him some time. But you all treated me terrible beforehand. Okay. Oh, no, let's do it this way. Go ahead and sick Tishy on the property. Let her take it, okay? Then it's done deal, okay? I'm smacking my palms together. You committed the act. Because reversals can happen. Remember, I used to sell real estate, okay? I was a broker. I owned a lot of property. I sold a lot of property. I bought a lot of property. Used to hang out at foreclosures. There can be reversals. They can happen. I remember one we got taught in real estate class years and years ago about this. It was a mall. I believe it was called the Seven Corners Mall. somewhere near the big city of Northern Virginia. And what happened was a guy sold his land and they built this huge mall that's still there, I guess. And it's called the Seven Corners Mall because it's where 7 different points meet or something like that. Big high traffic count. Turned out the guy that sold the land didn't tell his wife about it and took the money, and she didn't get anything out of it, and he died or whatever they got. And I mean, 30 years, I don't know how, 20, 30 years later, she's a widow. She's by herself. She's elderly. And this gets discovered. They had to give her some unmentionable amount of money. I don't know if it was a paper bag or how they did, but millions of dollars. Because technically that was still her land. That's a true story that was taught to me in real estate class, and deals can be reversed. Did you know that when Adolf was coming to power in the 1930s, okay, you all heard about Munich, you all heard about the beer hall push. Who was at his side was, I believe his name was General Ludendorff. And locked arms and marched up the street because the soldiers they were hoping would revolt because they all had so much respect for General Ludendorff. Anyway, when Adolf came to power, he gave Ludendorff somebody else's farm, somebody else's estate. I'll put it that way. Well, after it was all over, Ludendorff had passed away, and I believe he got buried up in East Prussia with Frederick the Great and Bismarck. That's another story. They had to evacuate the mausoleums because the Russians ended up taking over East Prussia, and they still have it to this day. It's called Kaliningrad. But anyway, all the property was returned. Ludendorff estate that he had was returned back to the family. I know that's a much more drastic story than what they're doing here. But there are universal principles concerning fairness and unlawful confiscation of property that's happened throughout the years and throughout the centuries. But the biggest one I could think of that in our country that pertains is a story about that widow and the mall. And so they can be reversed. I mean, but the visuals of them putting a chain across the door and some kind of bright yellow or orange sign, keep out. Those of you who've been with me for a long time, speaking of which, Robin, she was going to have surgery day before yesterday, and I haven't seen her. Robin, if you're out there listening, I know you may not. We're all thinking about you, honey. I hope you're doing well. All right. I see boom, boom, boom. Let me see. Did anybody take credit? I don't see, but I appreciate it. Someone, when I see the email, I'll know. But Jersey Joe said Fanny smuggling crack. Found it under her dress. 200 pounds of crack. Let's see. But a lot of you have been with me from the beginning. Remember when I was telling a story about movies to watch? I suggested you watch Dr. Zhivago, right? And Land of the Rising Sun, I believe it was. I'll have to check that video. It was Steven Spielberg about World War II. But anyway, both those movies, they came back in Dr. Zhivago. They went over the Ural Mountains and went on a days-long train ride to get the heck out of St. Petersburg. And the Bolsheviks had taken over. Their house was full of strangers and riffraff because it was fair to let people live in their home. They had too much of a home, and the government confiscated their house. So they went out to the country where their family was from. And the house out there had a sign plastered right on the glass that said, "This is property of the People's Republic of Russia. And anybody coming in here, you know, you're out of here. Yeah, it's over." And the house was empty and turning decrepit, and they couldn't even go in their own home. Same thing when the Japanese invaded British neighborhoods outside of Shanghai in China. The Japanese put the notices on a column of the house. This is property of the Imperial Emperor of Japan. And it come in here under penalty of death. So are they going to do that kind of thing with Trump's property? So it's a replay. How could you take properties that has investors? Well, if they're investors, they would have a something recorded in the courthouse. Okay, hey, timeshares is something I'm very familiar with. Also, the Condominium Act and a lot of other things that got passed for people to have different types of ownership. And you had buildings that could be converted where people could have buy their apartments basically, or they could buy a timeshare. They could buy a week of a certain building on the property for a certain time of the year, and it would get deeded and recorded in the courthouse. If you have someone who invested in the way of loaning money and they have a first or second mortgage on the property, they have a vested interest that's recorded in the courthouse. If somebody's property gets confiscated, let's say, for instance, I sell somebody a house and I finance it, and I have a deed of trust on the house, a mortgage. That person gets caught dealing drugs out of their house gets confiscated and gets sold. Well, if I have a deed of trust for $100,000 and it sells for $150,000, the government gets $50,000 and I get paid my deed of trust back. If the bids are less than $100,000, the house reverts to me because I am essentially the highest bidder. I have a note for $100,000 on the house. If somebody wants it, they have to pay $100,001. Then they can have it. The government gets $1 and I get my money. See how that works? Yeah, that's right. You could sell the parking lot for $250 million. Yeah, even then. I mean, I guess at some level, the people on CNN knew they were shooting themselves in the foot by saying that at a fire sale, Trump could get $250 million for Mar-a-Lago. and Goron said 18. So they had to do it 250 million. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, who would? You've got people with fabulous fortunes that would. Who knows what they'd write a check for that place tomorrow? You know, 500 million, 750 million. Who knows? Elon Musk might buy it. But I'm saying though, Trump's going to prevail on his appeal. I have no doubt in my mind. And he said he's taking it all the way to Supreme Court. Anybody that makes a move on any of those properties is a fool. And that sale can be reversed on order of the Supreme Court by upholding Trump's appeal. I believe that can be the case. Oh, I don't know, Diane. She might have been wearing the Depends. That depends. That depends on what. Now, real quick, this guy that lost his license in New York, he was going around, and they get paid kind of like a commission structure if they put copyright claims on different things. You know, it happens with videos here, and also there's, you know, other platforms or publications or whatever that can be using copyrighted material. And these lawyers will send out notices, work out a situation, and say, oh, okay, well, you say you're sorry and you took it down or whatever, but you owe us $1,000 for violating the copyright. And they would get, who knows, 10%, 20% of the money they negotiate. Or they say, you owe $1,000 plus attorney's fees of $350, and we'll call it a day. Otherwise, we're going to sue you for violating our copy. Anyway, this guy, his name was I have to pull his name up. Lubowski or something like that. Anyway, he was apparently had gotten in a dust up with this one creator, Leibowitz, Richard P. Leibowitz. Now, he had his license suspended back, I believe, in 2020. And he was running around getting commissioned for copyrights, filing lawsuits, but it turned out he didn't have the actual documentation or an actual copyright claim on the items that he was going around leg breaking to get money. One of the cases was a musician named Lou Reed. Somebody used a picture of Lou Reed, and next thing you know, they're getting an email from these attorneys saying, you violated copyright, Lou Reed estate, you owe us this kind of money. So he got in trouble for false claims. He was signed documents, affidavits saying, yeah, they're, you know, we have this copyright, we have this kind of paperwork, we have this kind of whatever, and they didn't. And he was supposed to show up to court, and he didn't show up. They issued a show cause. What that means is you got a court date, you don't show up, you didn't call ahead and say, hey, I'm having problems, or can I reschedule, or I broke my foot, or like Terrence said, I'm at the doctor's office. They issued a show cause, which means you better have a good reason or you can go to jail. So he kept getting these trouble. He said his grandfather passed away and he had to go to the funeral, and turned out his grandfather had been buried a number of days before the actual trial. He was acting like it just happened that morning, and he wouldn't produce a death certificate. He gave him a big dance, and it turned out he was fibbing or mistaken. They like to use terms like that. So anyway, he had 40 cases that the judge was discussing, and 14 of them, he had 14 counts of, I guess, misleading the court or making false declarations. Anyway, they went ahead and took his law license. And do you know, when that happens, you can't even give advice to your friends. I got the order of disbarment. I know I went over an hour, but it won't take but a second. But it's interesting language. It's unequivocal language, I'll put it that way. It's ordered that pursuant to blah, 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 Richard B. Leibowitz, a suspended attorney, is disbarred effective immediately, and his name stricken from the roll of attorneys and counselors at law. And it is further ordered, in capital letters, the respondent, Leibowitz, continue to comply with the rules governing the conduct of disbarred or suspended attorneys. It is further, capital letters, ordered. I'll just check and make sure I don't drop out of the stream. Pursuant to blah, 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 the respondent, Leibowitz, shall continue to desist and refrain from practicing law in any form, either as a principal or as an agent, clerk, or employee of another, appearing as an attorney or counselor at law before any judge, justice, board, commission, or any other public authority, given to another an opinion as to the law or its application or any advice in relation thereto. I'm just checking, make sure I don't fall out of check. So you couldn't even go up to him like he's your uncle, right? You know, or your brother, and go, "Hey, I got a speeding ticket. What are you there?" Nope, can't say nothing. And holding himself out in any way as an attorney and counselor at law, it is further ordered that respondent has been issued a secure pass by the Office of Court Administration. It shall be returned forthwith to the issuing agency, and respondent shall certify the same in affidavit. Well, that's what he got in trouble for, certifying affidavit, stuff that wasn't true. But anyway, that might, I'll tell you what. My point about that, well, the reason my antennas went up, because one of the cases he was arguing, or his staff was arguing, whatever, was in front of Judge Kaplan up there in New York. I mean, we're talking Southern District of New York, and we're talking Manhattan. It's not a big bunch of people, okay? But you sure have a lot of the same names cropping up when it comes to Trump, when it comes to the Sam Bankman-Fried, when it comes to Epstein. I've gone over that with Kaplan. And they know each other. They're like worms in a clump of dirt. So let me just check the chats real quick. So anyway, they got rid of him pretty quickly, all right? And the point of the matter is there, a lot of these people we're dealing with that are disrupting the election, that are messing around with the psychology of this nation, the comfort in knowing that you have a just government that protects your rights and protects your property. You can go to bed at night. You can look forward to raising your kids and leaving them a great legacy. All that stuff's in jeopardy by people who should have been disbarred a long time ago. And it goes all the way up to the Supreme Court. You just look at those three names that would not allow Texas to defend itself okay? Not allow Texas to protect its own borders and its own citizens. Those three names right there, they shouldn't even be working in a traffic court, much less being on the Supreme Court. So these kind of situations are going to be, as I've said many times, I haven't said it this year, maybe once or twice, but they're making a list, checking it twice, and there's going to be a lot of vacancies and a lot of opportunities for people who want this country to run in accordance to the Constitution. So I wish I was 40, 50 years younger. I know what I'd be thinking about. Yeah, that's okay, Wanda. Yeah. Yeah, that's why you record stuff in the courthouse. You know, a lot of people get a deed of trust and throw it in their sock drawer. It don't mean nothing if it's not in the courthouse. Protects your interests. But hey, the way these people are operating, Trump thought his interests were protected. He did everything according to accepted accounting principles. He had experts from every field, certified experts, the best in the nation, from insurance, banking, real estate. All of them say, there's nothing. What are you talking about? There's no crime here. There's nothing out of the ordinary here. And they're trying to take his stuff. So we'll see which way the ball bounces. I'll be seeing y'all unless something big happens on Monday. And I want to thank someone, and they didn't leave a message, but I want to know I appreciate it, for going to buy me a coffee, and Lone Wolf for helping out sponsor tonight's program. I do appreciate it, folks. And sorry I had a little conniption at the beginning. It's frustrating. I got something else going on that applies to what incurred my ire, and I will probably talk about it Monday, not Sunday, but Monday. So, yeah, nothing I can't handle. But anyway, folks, we got to be careful. And thank you for spending your precious time with me. I appreciate it very much. And we'll get together soon, folks. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. This is Mountain Man, over and out.